I'm bored, and when I'm bored, I like to do videos like this, where you get to ask me anything. So I put it out on Twitter, and we're gonna answer your questions now.
We interrupt this video to bring you a special message from iFixit. No, we interrupt this interruption with this interruption about new stuff from iFixit. Wish you had a new graphics card, but inventory sucks? Fix the inventory problems with iFixit. Whoa, don't drop it. Can't fix that with iFixit. Just kidding, yes you can. Wish you could take iFixit with you anywhere, but your pockets aren't big enough? Introducing the new More
and the new Minnow.
Take them with you anywhere. So get iFixit for your loved ones, or just get them for yourself.
Okay, so like I said, these questions are out on Twitter, so if you guys want to be a part of the next one, you can do that. I might go over to the JayzTwoCents subreddit and try one there eventually. There's still like 3.5 thousand people there, so that might be interesting to check out. Anyway, these are no real particular order. I just sort of bookmarked ones that I thought were interesting and might give me an opportunity to answer in a fun way. So again, no particular order. This one comes from Teddy Tiger. He says, hey Jay, what kind of beer do you enjoy and where could I send some for you? First of all, thank you for the offer. I'm not gonna have you send me beer, plus I don't think you should be sending me alcohol anyway. But I'm not a beer drinker. I really don't drink beer. I am a whiskey drinker. I think if anyone's followed my Twitch stream, they know that by now. But I really do enjoy spirits, but whiskey is my spirit. So I have like 45 different kinds of whiskey in my whiskey bar alone. That is Japanese whiskeys, Irish whiskeys, scotches, bourbons, Kentuckys, Tennessees. Like I've got even some Texas style whiskeys in there. Single malts, you name it. I've got all kinds of different whiskeys. That's my jam. Whiskey jam. It probably is made. Sean says, have you played Helldivers 2 yet? You mean, have I spread democracy with the gentle touch of an iron fist? Absolutely, I have.
You mean, has he killed me via friendly fire yet? Yes.
Have I killed myself during friendly fire? Yes. Nothing says spreading freedom and peace like shooting aliens. All right, so Paul Barron says, what tech in your studio failed in the most spectacular way? Which fail was the most infuriating? Well, the most recent fail we dealt with was a lens, literally. That's a replacement lens that Phil's pointing at. That $1,200 lens failed on us, so I had to buy another one overnight. That's infuriating just because obviously we need it for work. We've used other lenses in the video since the other one failed. You guys may not have even noticed, but that's infuriating. You know, it's not even that old it's less than a year old, that particular lens on our Sony FX6. Anyway, another recent-ish failure was my 65-inch Asus ROG BFGD, or big format gaming display, where we turned it on and we thought something was wrong with it because we weren't getting an image, but then we could hear sound coming out of it. Come to realize that the backlight completely died on it. If you held a flashlight like up to the screen, you could sort of illuminate the pixels from the front side, but then you could sort of see like, oh, there's a desktop. We were like taking like our flashlights on our phones and like holding it up to the panel, and there was an image being displayed. It's just the backlight on it completely borked itself to death. So that sort of sucks, considering that 65-inch was also supposed to be one of our panels used for our sim racing rig. So there is that. Over the 12 and a half years I've been doing YouTube, I've had all kinds of failures of equipment and lights and things, and every single one of those are spectacular when you're a small company like mine. But anyway, nothing super exciting to report, like we didn't set the building on fire or anything like that. Anonymous says, do you plan on releasing any more JayzTwoCents merch? We do, but we need to get rid of the stuff that we currently have, like our melty connectioner shirt. Our melted connection, it's been a long day, okay? There's the melty connection shirt, or connector shirt for the 12-volt high power. I really like that, and it's more retro color styling. I'm an 80s kid, so retro styling color was fun. I might actually redesign that in a more muted, like grays and blacks like we've done before, but we still have a lot of those in stock in all sorts of different sizes, so pick one of those up today. The original Fell says, what is your biggest oh crap moment when building a PC? With a mistake you made? Mine was the very first PC I built in 1998. I thought it wasn't getting enough power because it wouldn't post. So I switched the voltage switch on the PSU and very bad things happened. No. That is what's so nice about auto voltage sensing power supplies today, where you don't have to move that switch. It just it knows the voltage coming into it and then automatically outputs based on that. Yeah, so if you were at 120 volt power supply for the US and you switched it to 220 volt for Europe, yeah, you get a little extra power going your system there. No, mine honestly would be the very first like major oh crap moment I ever had was when I saved up money, and then this is when dual cores were just starting to be a thing. I bought a Pentium D, and that was my first dual core system, put it in my motherboard. But back then, like, supplemental power for like AGP and stuff, and the motherboard, like EPS type power, they weren't keyed well. And what I mean by that is you could interchange those on accident. And I accidentally put my motherboard power, or my GPU power into my motherboard power. The only difference is the 12 volts in the grounds were reversed. Now everything was so simple back then. I don't understand why 12 volts and grounds weren't the same on both. So whatever happened, then it happened. You know, it would work if it were swapped. So anyway, I sent 12 volts down the ground side of the motherboard power, and it popped the chipset. And I did it twice because I didn't realize that I was doing it wrong. So I popped the chipset, replaced the motherboard at PC Club with their no questions asked, it wouldn't boot policy, got another one and did it again. So.
Did you return that one too?
I did.
Did they say?
I did. Actually, we replaced my CPU too because they were like, maybe the CPU is bad.
Wow,
so I just got a new motherboard and a new CPU. But you know what? I didn't feel bad because the amount of money I had spent at PC Club by that time in my life, I didn't feel bad. Okay, they could eat 2 bad motherboards. Okay. Anyway, and then more recently-ish in history, about 9 years ago, I needed to make a cooler mount work with a X99 motherboard, and so I drilled holes through the mounts, not realizing it was a multi-layer PCB, and drilled right through the multi-layer traces and then killed my motherboard. That video lives in infamy, and it will never be taken down because it was a very stupid mistake everyone should learn from. Even though that kind of mistake probably won't happen again for a long, long time for anybody because brands saw that and went, yeah, we should make that a through hole. All right, Tor Melkson says, oh, what came first, your love of cars or your love for tech? Was there ever a point in your life where you thought about going into automotive repair as a profession before going into the tech industry? I don't know. I don't think either came before the other. Like, as far back as I can remember in my memories, which actually goes back to 2 years old, I can remember certain events in my life at the age of 2. I've always had my Hot Wheels and my die-cast cars everywhere you looked and was playing with them, and I always had a computer, like access to a computer. So I can't tell you which came first. I can tell you they've both been huge portions of my life. Like when I'm not messing with tech stuff, I'm messing with car stuff and vice versa. That's just the way I'm wired. Yeah, I did have a while there where I wanted to quote unquote be a mechanic, but every mechanic I knew was like, don't be a mechanic. Trust me, you don't want to be a mechanic. Like you want to love cars, you want to continue to love cars, don't be a mechanic. But I mean, I still love tech and I work around this all day, every day, although I'm not working at like a tech repair store where I'm dealing with everyone's problems and customers. So I'm just dealing with like, viewers can be great and they can be terrible at times, but you know what? For the most part, I think we all get along, right? But you guys aren't literally yelling at me because I'm not fixing your computer right or something, you know? Or maybe you are, I don't know, it's possible. But those two just always go hand in hand in my life. They've always been that way. Casey says, what's a dream project you have not had the opportunity to start, afford, or applies to anything? I want like a machine shop. I want to be able to manufacture my own stuff. Like 3D printing is as close as we've ever gotten to being able to make anything like custom from scratch for anything we work on. But I would love to have a much bigger building with CNC lathes and CNC mills and just autoclaves and all that sort of stuff, dealing with making my own carbon fiber stuff. It just would be fun to be able to build something from design, raw material to end product. Like that would be fun. What those products would be, I have no idea. It'd be like, I'm sure it would start off with small needed products for computers like brackets and anti-sag brackets and custom case panels and things like that, and then can scale up from there to be just about anything, car parts, whatever it may be. But that's just the tinkerer in me. I love building stuff. I love designing stuff. And so that's the next logical step for me in turning a desire into a learning opportunity, into a hobby, into a business would be something to do with manufacturing. So that's absolutely a dream project of mine. Favorite PC product on the market currently, or a concept you would love to see designed? I'm really happy with what we saw, I think it was at Computex last year actually, and then we saw it again at CES. I forget what the form factor is called, but Asus and MSI both have one now where the power plugs are on the back of the motherboard. And then the graphics card has a power slot on the bottom of it that slots into the motherboard just like the PCI Express slot. So you have the PCI Express slot and on the backside the power slot that slots right into the motherboard. And then all power needed for the graphics card is actually delivered through the motherboard. But because the motherboard cables and EPS cables and 24 pin and all that's on the backside, and there would be no graphics card cable because it's going through the motherboard, essentially you would have a very stealth looking system with no cables anywhere. Now that kind of stinks in the sense that cables are kind of a neat way to also add some customization and some color and some overall design aesthetic into your systems. But every time I build a system, one of the last things I do is start plugging in those cables, and I always look at that and go, man, that'd be so clean if there were just no cables. So I'm looking forward to that format coming out. We should be looking at something from Asus here in the future, hopefully. But like I said, I know Asus and MSI both debuted that. I don't know if they're running both on the same quote unquote spec or standard. That's gonna be the kind of thing that's gonna be hard to standardize as we move forward, but I think that backside cables with cases that can sort of accommodate that are a pretty neat thing to look forward to in the future with regards to PCs. Chemi says, talking in this time about the 4 million subs. I don't know what that means. Any event to come, collabs, videos, giveaway, bachelor's party, or third child. Oh, he's asking about my 4 million sub. Yeah, because we've crossed 4 million subs last month, and he's asking if I was gonna do anything special. Collab videos. I don't have any collab videos planned currently. Giveaway. I love doing giveaways, but it's gotten super complicated ever since Gleam has been banned from the platform on YouTube. YouTube does not allow Gleam links anymore because it falls under the spam category, and because you're like mass exodusing people from the website when they click on that link. So YouTube has completely done away with that. So I need to find another fair, impartial way to pick a winner when we do giveaways. So that's the only thing that's been holding me up, is I don't know what that solution looks like. I haven't really looked into that yet. Bachelor's party, well, I'm already married. So no. Third child, hell no. I'm 42 years old. I've got a 15-year-old and a 9-year-old. My youngest child's halfway out of the house, okay? I'm not hitting reset on that button. That timer reset is not happening, okay? Because guess what? You know, I shoot my shot, and that 9 years into the 18-year timeline goes back to 0, okay? I'm not okay with being 60 by the time that kid leaves the house if they were born today. Damn, I would be 60. The ginger one says, what is a piece of tech that you always wanted to buy yourself but didn't, either due to cost or frivolous bad timing? It really goes hand in hand with like that CNC thing I was talking about and having machines. Now I am interested in getting some like CNC, tabletop CNC, so I can start making small stuff. But I'm talking like the big old like giant one that you can slide open and pretty much like make an engine block out of or something with a big piece of extruded aluminum or whatever. But I gotta start small, right? I can't start with $100,000 machines. We gotta start with like $5,000 machines and start learning our ways through that. But that is a piece of tech I have been, I think, saying to the guys now I'm gonna buy for like a couple of years now. It just hasn't happened because I don't have anywhere to put them. We'll figure it out, but that is the next logical thing for me to be working on. Would I ever consider building a PC inside of an engine bay of a car? Tell me you don't understand cars without telling me you don't understand cars. You know how hard it gets in the engine bay of a car? That's all I wanted to say to that comment. Optics says, what is the most common mistake you still make in your builds? Also, was it a mistake you made in your first build? First of all, I don't remember my first build. My first build, I was so young. I don't remember the details of it or how it went, or I just know my dad helped me just like I helped my kids. So I can't even tell you if it was the same mistake I made there. I would say common mistakes that still sort of get made today, probably because I'm such an experienced builder at this point, having built hundreds of PCs. I think I get moving too quick, so I forget to take the tape off something, whether it be maybe the M.2 cover, you know, thermal pad tape, or the block cover off a CPU block or an air cooler or whatever. That's the peel before use. I've forgotten to take that off plenty of times. I think most commonly though, if I'm building a lower end PC that doesn't have like an integrated IO shield that goes onto the case, I'm just so used to those being integrated now on motherboards that I'll forget to put that in, and I won't realize it till the whole computer's built. And the only way to get it in is to take the motherboard out, which means to completely unbuild it. Oftentimes when that happens, I just leave it out. I don't even put it back in. Not only that, because if it's a cheap one that isn't like attached to the motherboard, it's probably gonna try and cut your fingers off anyway, because they're extremely sharp. But yeah, that's probably the most common mistake, honestly. Other than maybe doing something maybe slightly out of order, like some cases that are more crammed. If you put your AIO or fans in the top and then you put your motherboard and stuff in, you may not have enough room to get your fingers in there to plug in like the EPS power cable. And then you just end up having to take the cooler, AIO, radiator out, or a fan or two out to get access to that. But simple things like that, which aren't major issues, they just are annoyances more than anything. Another one too is sometimes making sure like monitor cables are plugged in all the way. Sometimes you might get an audible click, but then there might be a secondary like deeper click. And so you're sitting there thinking, why am I not getting any video? And then it turns out you push on your cable and Guns Kotaku says, here's one. Have you ever had a situation where a graphics card performed too well while being water cooled? For instance, I had to undervolt my 4090 to make it more stable as the colder temps were pushing too much performance and causing black screens, and after undervolting works. Interesting, because typically that would mean that the colder temps means that you have a more aggressive curve, because there is a table that says at this temperature, the max frequency is this. And as the temperature goes down, that max frequency can technically stay higher longer, which means more often than not, people need to apply a little more voltage if it's not stable at those higher frequencies. So it's weird that undervolting worked with that. The only thing I can think too is that undervolting kept the temps down as well, which kept the stability a little bit higher. Because sometimes too, it's the reason why we could hook a graphics card up to an air conditioner and get higher frequencies at the same max stock voltage that we're allowed, because with lower temperatures comes better stability. So that's the only thing I can think of. That's really odd though that underperforming works, or undervolting works, unless undervolting also reduced your frequency, because voltage and frequency is also linked on NVIDIA graphics cards. So that's a possibility as well. But without seeing it and seeing the behavior and seeing the numbers, I couldn't possibly tell you why that is. All I can tell you is that usually the only thing I've ever noticed with water-cooled graphics cards is you put the GPU block on, your thermal paste is good, your frequencies stay higher longer at a colder temp. I've never had one crash because it was boosting too high, if that makes sense. And then Phil says you should probably check your high volt power cable, make sure it's not melting. Day again says, I really do miss watching Phil's vlogs with Phil and Coconut Monkey. CM is Coconut Monkey. We just call him Nick. He doesn't go by Coconut Monkey anymore. So is there any chance for that a vlog at least once a month? I've actually been thinking about that recently, and there's a vlog I wanted to do today actually that I can't do today because it didn't open until 3 p.m. the place I wanted to go, and I got somewhere I have to be at 6:30 today, so that didn't work. But we're gonna do that. We might do that soon. Just have to find a day because it's an afternoon thing, so I gotta make sure it's gonna work. But it's a really cool place I think both Nick and Phil are gonna dig, and I'm not gonna tell them what it is until we go. That way the vlog is more genuine of like, oh my God, really fun, cool.
Yay, field trip.
Field trip. All right, last question here says, so Jay, when are you gonna get a raise to to 3 cents? Never heard that joke before. 2 cents in 2024 money is worth 62 cents. Jay's 62 cents. It still has 2 cents in there. Yeah, I'm gonna make a wild guess here. 2012, 2 cents, probably gonna be worth 5. I say cap 3.
Oh, wow.
Maybe he actually did this math already, which is why he asked. In which case, Robert, you're smarter than me. I don't know though, you pay for Twitter. All right, I hope you guys had fun with today's video. Like I said, just something a little different to kind of kick out there. I know this is only gonna be interesting to a few people, but I like doing this sort of stuff. It allows me to interact with you guys. So follow on Twitter, JayzTwoCents, if you guys aren't, or check out the JayzTwoCents subreddit on Reddit, because I'm gonna probably start hanging out in there a little bit more. And yes, the JayzTwoCents that's in there is me, even though it definitely looks like a spoof account because nothing's filled out. It's just me. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.